Alright, you better sit down and shut up because today we're talking about punting. Yes, punting, because this weekend, the punters, more than anything, were on their P's and Q's, and quite frankly, no one said a word about it, so it's time for your boy, the man himself, to come in and give some love. Let's start. Browns vs. Texans, Cam Johnson was putting on a show. First punt, caught at the 6-yard line. Proch tries to make something happen, but is stopped at the 8. Followed that up with a second punt. 49 yards. This time, Proch makes the smart decision, runs up, fair catches it at the 10-yard line. Then, after a lot of drama in the third, he opens up with another beauty of a punt, eliminating any chance of a return by hitting it out of bounds at the 18. But as we flash to the final punt of this game, it is well out of reach of the Browns ever coming back, and a large part of it was due to the sticky situation Cam was putting them in all game, as they never had a successful scoring drive after one of his punts. Then we're going to skip the Chief and Dolphins game, as the entire kicking and punting community gave out one of these after the first Jake Bailey punt. Yep. And let's face it, at negative 27 degrees, we're all just happy the ball got off to begin with. But Sunday, we went back to nothing but bangers. And while most people were focused on Green Bay running the score up against Dallas, I was more amazed that every single punt was fair caught inside the 10. I'm not sure that's ever happened before with 5 or more punts across 2 teams, but when Brian Anger started it off with pushing it to the 9, and then Daniel Whelan responds by hitting a dinger to the 8, I knew we were in for something special. Then, a couple drives later, Anger comes back out and skies another punt to force a fair catch at the 7. Daniel would be the lone punter from here on out, but he'd hit a beaut fair caught at the 9-yard line, and then another pearl near the end of the game to pin them at the 8 in one of the greatest multi-punter postseason performances of all time. But is that where it ends? Absolutely not. Let's take you to the Lions-Rams game, where everything we could have hoped for happened. But first, on the punters, Jack Fox comes through and hits a gorgeous ball to the 10, but the Rams decided they weren't far enough back, so they gave him the assist with a blindside block to knock them back to the 5. Then they dial up the heat against Ethan, and you know what they say, pressure forms diamond. And I'll tell you what, if I had this much pressure on a punt, the next shit I took would have 2 Serbian kids fighting to the death for it, and Ethan booms it 63 yards, and it was a yard deep into the end zone, so he only netted 62 of it, but he just absolutely hammered that ball. Then Jack Fox would do the field position equivalent of surgery, 52-yard fair catch to the 10 with a side of great coverage, as a returner had less protection than the night I did on the conception of my daughter. And then flash forward, he does it again, this time 61 yards out, one of the most insane punts of this postseason. 61 yards, 5.03 seconds of hang time. The returner could go make a sandwich, laugh at the Cowboys for losing their game, come back and catch that ball, and once again, no feasible return lane, thanks to better coverage on this punt than the NFL gives Taylor Swift every single game she shows up to, which is really saying something. And then finally, we end the game with a stark reminder of why the Rams have one of the worst net averages in the league, because on this 31-yard punt with almost 4.5 seconds of hang, they somehow managed to still give up a 4-yard return. But all in all, what a freaking weekend for punters, and I cannot believe it's gone this far unnoticed.